Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of the TheGoodCastShow. So my guest today, he's a culture transformation expert who has worked and trained clients in the UK, Japan, South Korea, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Brunei, Philippines and Malaysia. Sounds like he's just naming countries there. He currently serves as the Vice President of Education and EXCO member for the Malaysian Association of Professional Speakers, MAPS. And he's writing a book titled How to Hire the Best Talents, which I'm sure is going to be the priority on the shopping list of a lot of HR managers. So today we're going to speak to him about what employers should look out for, how should they conduct their interviews, and also, more importantly, for the job seekers, what should you do in preparation for an interview. So please welcome Mr. Khor Eng Tat, a.k.a. ET Khor, or as he likes to be called, ET. How are you, man?
I'm good. Nice to meet you, Vinod.
Yeah, thanks for coming, ET. Cool name, by the way.
It's a branding purpose. It's for branding purposes.
Forget
right?
what does he say? I want to go home. ET home. Yeah, I forgot. Anyway, let's touch fingers.
I
Anyway.
get it all the time. But you know, if you call yourself ET, you got to be prepared for that.
Yes, you have
Right.
to. I'm sure that like how I get asked about my height all the time, you get asked about ET.
Yes, right.
Yes.
And then it's I just go with it. I have fun
Me too.
with it.
Me too. Yeah, me too. So, dude, let's start off job seekers first. I want the people watching this who are trying to get a job, maybe changing jobs. How do they perfect the interview? How do they score their job? So let's start from the beginning, the pre-production phase, if you will. What should a person do, a job seeker do, in preparation for an interview?
Right. So as a job seeker, there are things that you must do. Most important is you must prepare before the interview. You must do your preparation and do your research. What company you're applying for, what job you're applying for, because the interviewers expect you to have done that research. Right, so you must go in. Now, I've had so many cases where interviewers say candidates come in and they don't even know about the company they're working for. So that's a big red flag. Right? And for some interviewers, once they see that you're not even prepared, you didn't even do that research, they dismiss you they mentally cut you off within the first 5 minutes.
I see.
Right? So you have to spend that time to research and prepare, or at least show that you have prepared a little
What
bit
do
for
you
the
say
interview.
at such an interview? Do you, like compliment them? Wow, what a great company you have! And
I give you a very simple tip.
Okay.
Go to the company website, look at the latest news and events, and memorize one or two facts from there, and quote that in the interview.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. You can say, let's say company ABC. You can say, oh, hey, and they ask you, what do you know about our company? It's a very common question people ask. So then you can say, oh, I noticed that you, in 2 months ago, you launched this new product and it was an overwhelming success. And I noticed last year you launched this new project, which was based in Johor. And I thought, wow, that sounds so exciting when I saw it.
Okay.
And you quote something like this, even though you just saw it 5 minutes ago in the toilet.
It helps.
Before
It helps.
It impresses the interviewers.
Okay. So
right?
So is it okay for an interviewee to give constructive feedback? No constructive feedback. Just compliments. Which one?
I would say give compliments first.
First, yeah.
Unless they ask you for some feedback.
All right.
You don't want to come across as smarty pants or smart Alex in the first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
Right? You see where they come from. Yeah. Sometimes they ask you for feedback, then you can communicate that.
Okay.
Right.
So before that, before interviewing, right? What should a job seeker prep before starting to even apply for a job? What are the tools that they should have before they go to LinkedIn or JobStreet and start applying for jobs?
Right. So the basics with the CVs, the resume, get that right. And sometimes people overlook this. Simple typos is also a put off for a lot of interviewers.
Typos in the CV.
Simple typos, misspellings, or simple formatting. You got to get the basics right. It doesn't get you the job, but you make some of these mistakes. Remember, HR, when they filter CVs, they've got a few hundreds in front of them. And they'll try to eliminate as many as possible, as fast as possible, to get to the best 10 or 20. Right? So if you have a glaring mistake or glaring typo, sometimes it puts them off straight away. I'm not saying that's the best strategy for HR, but that is what happens from my experience working with them for so many years.
Is a cover letter important nowadays? Like, for example, if you apply through LinkedIn, I'm not sure about jobs because it's been ages since I applied for a job, but if you apply through LinkedIn, right, you have this place where you can sort of add a small description or a small paragraph, right? Is it important?
Yeah, well, if you ask me, during our age, I don't know your age, when we were growing up, 39,
Yeah.
I'm 40 plus, right?
Okay.
So when we were growing up, cover letter is the most important.
Yeah.
Right? And then followed by the CV or the resume. Now, because everything is on email and everything is on the platform, it's almost like redundant, right? Because is your email the cover letter?
I've always asked that question. Is it a cover letter?
So if it is, then do you attach another cover letter and your CV? So it's a bit too much.
Do you
right?
just copy paste the cover letter onto your email, right? You know what I mean?
Correct. Copy it on your email. So of course you have to write something. Just say, don't say hi. Attaches my resume. That's it, right? Or hi, I'm applying for the job. So that's not enough, right? You make the email like a cover letter and attach your resume.
Should it be long or should it be straight to the point?
The letter or the resume?
For the cover letter.
I say straight to the point.
Okay.
Straight to the point. Again, you put yourself in the HR shoes. They have hundreds of applicants, at least 10 or 20 applicants. Make it easy for them.
Okay.
So cover letter, short and simple, and then they mainly will look at the resume anyway.
Is it important to have an aesthetically pleasing CV? Or is it more down to content?
A bit of both lah. A bit
Okay.
of both. So
So don't just send in like a Word doc that you have sort of scribbled things on and combine things. You got to have some design, something.
have a bit of design, right? At least it shows that you're a bit in tune with the technologies today. Because nowadays there are a lot of templates.
Yeah.
You can even get someone to do it for you for a small fee. Get a friend to do it for you, right? At least make the effort to make it look a bit nice, right? As a job seeker, the content of course is the key lah. Your qualifications and your experience.
All right. So let's go now. The person has applied. They have gotten the interview. They've gone to the office now. It's
Right,
9 a.m.
for the interview.
For the interview, right?
Right.
So let's talk about appearance and what do you generally recommend to people in terms of appearance, aura or, what do you recommend?
Right. Okay. So appearance as first impressions is, as we know, is very important.
Yeah.
Now, this is a bit of an interesting thing for me because my experience is I train managers how to conduct interviews. And in my training, I always tell them, don't put so much emphasis on first impressions,
Yeah, definitely.
right? Because it can be judgmental and not fair, right? That's what I train the managers. However, I haven't trained all the managers in Malaysia or in the world, right? So majority of the managers out there, they still judge people based on their first impressions.
I think it's hard not to, right?
It is hard not to.
Yeah,
It is,
yeah.
where it's almost automatic, right? Everybody does it.
Everyone does it. Yeah.
Right? The first impression, the first 5 seconds, the first 7 seconds. A branding guru will tell you people judge you based on the first 7 seconds of interaction.
Okay.
So as a job seeker, you need to know that. So the way you look needs to be appropriate and professional, and the way you walk, the way you shake hands, the way you do eye contact. And again, these are very basic things that you need to know. You need to, not just for the interview, I think it's a life skill, it's a social skill.
Yeah.
To everyone you meet, whether it's a employer, whether it's a client, whether it's a vendor, or whether it's any presentation, you must have that.
Okay.
So
I know that's
prepare that, yeah.
That's a challenge for me. I just pick what's the first in my clothes. So my wife always tells me you always leave the house looking like a football player. Can you put on some pants?
well the thing is that you don't have to be you don't have to put on the most expensive thing. You don't have to look the most stylish, right? But look appropriate for the job, right?
Okay.
Right. If you're an engineer, you're working at the back end, you're an IT programmer, you're a technical guy, then not so important. But you need to look dressed ready for the interview.
Okay.
Right. You don't need. If you ask me, you don't even need to come in coat and tie if you're working at the back end, right? But if you do, that's a bonus.
Okay.
That's a bonus. Because remember, people will still judge me based on
How you look.
how I look, right? Even though I don't do it to others, I know people do it to me.
Okay. So now, during an interview, is there like a formula that you would recommend to increase one's probability of securing a job?
Okay. I share this from my experience.
Okay, please.
Many years ago when I graduated, I actually graduated with an IT degree.
Okay.
Came back, and that was the time where you had to print letters, print cover letters, put a stamp and send it out. Not to say I'm boasting, but I am boasting a little bit lah.
That's what everybody who boasts says
Yeah.
before they start boasting.
Let me humbly boast a bit.
Yeah.
But when I said
Not to be arrogant, but I'm going to be.
right. Not to be offensive, but I will
I'm
be
going to-
offensive in a
yeah,
while, right?
yeah.
Okay. So in my most humble, so I used to be quite successful. So I would send out applications.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Okay.
I tell you what, I was bloody successful.
Bloody man. If
I
you're
was-
going to brag, just go all the way.
I might as well do
yeah,
that,
yeah.
okay.
I was just flying on the clouds.
Right. I would send 9 applications. I would get 9 calls for interviews.
Okay.
And out of 9 interviews, I would get about 7 or 8 job offers.
Wow.
Right. As a fresh grad. So I had a choice which job I wanted to take. I had a chance to negotiate with them. And if they
Okay.
couldn't meet I negotiated friendly, in a
Okay,
friendly manner.
okay.
I wasn't arrogant or anything. I negotiated friendly. And if they couldn't offer what I wanted, I had other offers to fall back on.
Okay.
Right? So what did I do? Right? The main thing is, number one, my communication skills. That is the key thing. Right? Employers love to see good communication skills. right? Now, qualifications, degrees, educational, that is the basic criteria. You must have that. But then again, if you're coming out from university, there are hundreds of fresh grads with the same qualifications.
I see.
So how do you stand out? So one of the best ways to stand out is through your communication skills, right? So I had an advantage because in school, from young, I've always been a debater. I was a prefect. I would join competitions.
Okay.
I would be join the drama competitions. I would do Shire competitions, Sajak competitions. I do everything, right? I didn't win many of them, but I would participate. And that developed my communication and presentation skills.
Okay.
In school, that's in my primary and secondary school. So when I came out of university, I was ready. I was able to communicate confidently. I had good language skills, right, both English and Bahasa. So that was a key advantage.
So you're saying that the secret formula is having good communication skills?
That is the first.
Okay.
If you ask a lot of employers today, besides the academic results, when actually they don't even look that much at academic results, right?
They don't.
You'll be surprised, right? And
Okay.
that is the biggest. So let's come back to that later.
Okay.
But besides academic results and experience, they want communication skills. A lot of employers tell me, ET, today fresh grads come out, communication skills are poor. They need to work on that. And
What
sometimes it's
about-
not even communication, it's basic language skills.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. But what about in terms of experience? Like if I'm a fresh graduate, obviously I wouldn't have experience besides my internship. So should I then add by taking odd jobs? I mean, does that all matter?
Yes, it does. It matters a lot. Again, you want to stand out, right? So if you're graduating with even if you're graduating with a 4.0, first class honors, top degrees, top graduate, there are hundreds of them in the market. How do you stand out? Right? Now, if you're not a 4.0 student, then it's even tougher because right, you're going to lose out to the 4.0. But there is an advantage you can have, which is if you stand out through your additional activities and additional work. So fresh grads who don't have work experience, I always encourage them. Okay, fresh grad may be a bit too late already. Back in uni days, you should be doing a lot of projects, a lot of assignments, get part-time jobs, and put that in your CV because that shows your experience and it not just shows that you have experience in certain things, it shows that you are hardworking, you are achievement-oriented, right? You've got some experience with working in a team, right? Working with clients, working with vendors, right? Even if it's a part-time job working in a fast food restaurant, even if it's doing Grab, even if it's working in the university, that's what you should do.
I see.
Do as many as you can. If it's related to what you're studying, even better. And then put it in your CV.
Why does it matter though? What criteria do employers place a premium on in your CV? Is it your academics? Is this your experience?
Okay, so this is the big thing. This is the big thing because everyone is focused on academic results.
Yes.
Parents himself, right?
Yeah,
And you see, and the dilemma is this. When I train companies, and I ask the hiring managers, HR managers, hiring managers, I ask CEOs, what do you look for? How important is academic results? So many of them say, ET, that's not even our focus.
Really?
Really?
In all fields or selected fields?
In majority fields, right? The only time they will look at your results is if they're hiring people like management trainees, they're looking for scholarship holders, they're looking for graduate programs, those kind of programs. Then they will look at your academic results. But even that, remember, all those who apply for those programs, they're all 4.0 scholars anyway. So how do you stand out? Academic results it's equal. So you need to find a way to stand out from the group to get the job. Right. But again, like I said, employers, they don't look so much at academic results.
Okay, interesting.
What do they look at? The attitude.
All right, so let's debunk or maybe prove some of the folk stories we've heard, right? I've heard stories of whenever people go to interviews, they always share these stories of how they did outrageous things, weird antics, the challenge or, with like witty language and all that. There's one famous one I know that I don't know for what interview, but the interviewer was so bored, he pulls out a newspaper, says, just amaze me or surprise me, and then this interviewee burns the newspaper and then he gets the job. Something like that. These kind of stories you do hear, these urban legends of interviews.
Is the antics by the interviewer or interviewee?
The interview. So the interviewer, the story was that the interviewer had interviewed like say 10, 20 people before, and he was bored by all of them, right? They all left. So this last guy comes in, he opens the newspaper, says, you know what, just, surprise me.
Right.
And so the interviewee takes a lighter and burns the newspaper and he gets the job. So you hear all these urban legends and like what you said, I think every job seeker goes into an interview feeling like, how do I stand out? There's so many candidates. I'm waiting, the waiting room with 10 people.
Right.
But does any of that matter?
If you ask me, don't stand out by doing
Stupid things.
stupid, crazy things for the sake of getting attention, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you don't want to go into... If you go into an interview room and you do a dance, I bet you stand out, man. But I'm not going to hire you. Unless I'm looking for a dancer or a performer, right?
Yeah.
So don't do it out of shock value, right? But a lot of it falls back to the interviewer. This is where I come in, right? I train interviewers and I tell them, look, don't do this kind of funny things. Because so what if they burn your newspaper, if they grab your newspaper, if they stand up and walk out, if they laugh? It has nothing to do with the ability of that person to do the job. As an interviewer, your main focus is one. You look at a candidate and you see, is this candidate suitable for the job that I want to hire for? Do they have the skills to do that job? Right? The way they stand, the way they sit, the way they do things, the antics, it's not related to the job at all.
But one thing that I just want to go on a slight tangent here because I think this is an important question. Since you work a lot with interviewers, how important is race in their decision making? Because we hear a lot of stories, a lot of cases, a lot of people saying, I can't be because I'm Indian, I'm not accepted, blah blah. Is it all true? I mean, have you ever met these sort of?
Okay, so we're getting to a very sensitive topic.
Yeah, let's do it, man. This is the Good Cast Show. This is what you should have known. This.
It is sensitive, but it's very real. And even today in the media, every other day, you're seeing something race related. Okay, now I can't speak about everyone, right? But the thing is this: growing up as a Malaysian, sometimes Malaysians love to stereotype people. We grew up with stereotypes.
Yeah.
Right, stereotypes and even racial profiling. We grew up with that. Society it's there, right? But as we grow older, we have to be aware and we have to be a bit more objective. So as a trainer, as an interviewer, I always tell my participants, look, when you hire people, there's only one criteria. Can the person do the job? Is he or she suitable and has the skills and right competencies to do the job? That's it. What color they are, what race they are, how tall they are, what size they are, actually doesn't matter. And if you ask every employer, they will agree, yeah, ET, I just want someone who can do the job. They can be the same color as me, different color as me, I don't care. I just want someone who can do the job.
Okay.
Right, so that's what I emphasize in my
training. In your trainings, you do emphasize some sort of
That's what I emphasize. That's the mindset I'm trying to change to all employers today, right? Now, if it's a job...
How about gender?
Gender... Okay, gender...
Yeah.
One practice that I'm trying to get a lot of employees to stop doing is to ask... especially ask female applicants. Malaysians employers sometimes they like to ask, "Are you married? Are you single?" Questions like that.
I've heard of this.
Right, you've heard of it, right?
Yeah.
And
I can never see what's the relevance there.
Exactly, right? Are you asking me out on a date?
Yeah. I came here for a job interview, man.
Correct, right? What is this for, right? So they like to ask about that.
Yeah.
And the reason they ask for that is actually one thing.
Why?
Right? Will you be going on maternity leave soon?
Oh, I hate that. Really?
And that's now 3 months, right? 90 days.
3 months,
90 or 92 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Some even 6 months, yeah.
6 months, right? So employers are scared of that. That's why they ask, do you plan to get married? Actually, they want to find out, do you plan to get married and plan to have kids soon? You know essentially what they're asking? They're actually asking the person, when do you plan to have sex with your newly wedded wife?
Okay,
and get pregnant?
Buddy. You turned left there. You took a sharp left, okay.
Right, so which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right, it's private, it's none of your business.
Yeah.
Right, so don't even ask that, right? Now, as a company, it's part of your job. It's part of the regulations to give maternity leave. That's the company benefit.
Yeah.
So you just accept it, right? It's no different from asking, hey, if you join my company, how many days leave will you be taking? Right? Wow, you're going to take all your leave that you're entitled to. Wow, I'm not going to hire you. It doesn't make sense, right?
Doesn't make sense.
That's your entitlement, right?
Yeah,
if you have leave, you're going to take it, right? You need it, right? If you have MC, you're on maternity, that's part of your benefit. It's part of the job. As an employer, I need to prepare and budget for that.
Okay.
So my premise is always hire the best person for the best job.
All right.
The best person for the job. That's
Fair
it.
enough. I agree with that. I think that should be the model. So, guys, now we're going to go into the next section. So, please stay tuned on this part because we're going to ask Mr. Humble himself to answer some of the most commonly asked interview questions. Let's start. Tell me about yourself.
All right. This is a very common first question, right?
Yeah.
And So I'll tell you from my perspective, use that as an icebreaker.
Okay.
Don't use that to judge a person, right? Because when you ask someone to tell me about themselves, they will tell you about their family, their marital status, their kids, where they grew up, where they studied.
Okay.
But as an employer, what does that have to do with the job? Nothing. Nothing. Right? So use it as an icebreaker, and I say keep it to 1-2 minutes, small chit chat, small talk, then move on.
Okay.
Right? Move on to better questions.
So that means the answer must be related to the job that you're applying for.
How do we? So if you're a candidate, how do you answer? Keep it short and simple. Yeah, try to answer something related to the job.
Okay, so don't go on a tangent and talk about your family, your dog, and pet at home.
You don't have to. You don't
Okay.
even have to talk about your credentials yet because that question will come.
All right.
Keep it short and simple.
Okay, keep it short and simple. Next one. What is your biggest weakness?
What is your biggest weakness? Right?
I'm too hardworking.
Yeah, I'm too hardworking. Right? So why didn't you ask me about my strengths first? Why weakness? Right?
I'm so negative today.
Yeah, but sometimes
Yeah.
employers do that. So how do you answer this? The best way to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, now before that, I gotta say this. This is not it's not an effective question to ask, right? But as a job seeker, you must know people will ask you this question. So the best way to answer that question is you have to be honest. You don't want to lie. So be honest about one of your weakness, but add on to say what you have done to overcome that weakness or to manage that weakness.
Okay.
Right? So for example, if my weakness is I tend to forget appointments and commitments, right? So, and I realized that about me. So what I've done is I've learned to rely a lot on my Google Calendar and set reminders. So every time I got something to do, I put a reminder. And because of that, in the last 1-2 years, I've been able to keep track of all my appointments.
Okay. So, but do employers really expect an honest answer when they ask this? Because this question is rather catch-22, right? It's either like if I say I've none, I'm lying. If I do, then that may affect my outcome.
Correct. So that's why it's a nonsensical question to ask, right?
But it's asked a lot, right?
It's asked a lot, and I don't know why they ask that question, and I don't know what they expect. and you're right. Yeah. First of all, the candidate is not going to tell you the real weakness if you can, because they're at a job interview, right? But even if they do if they are honest about their weakness, as an employee, what do? Do I hire you or don't hire you?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. If the candidate tells me his weakness is they're not detail oriented,
that's a bad thing.
Do I disqualify them? Right? But you asked me the question, so I answered, and now you're disqualifying me for being honest.
Yeah.
So what should I do? Lie?
Yeah.
So you're right. It's a catch-22 situation, and it's pointless.
So let's go to the next one. Like what you asked just now. What are your strengths?
Right. What are your strengths? Right. This one you can be honest, right?
Yeah. This one really honest.
Right. And again, you don't want to come across as bragging. So mention the strength, but add on by saying how you have used that strength in one of your at work or in uni or in school. So don't just say this is your strength. Give them an evidence of how you have used it in your life.
Okay, which also should be reflected in your CV?
If can, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your salary expectations?
Okay. If HR people ask this, I will say best to keep this question after the interview. Don't ask it during the interview.
Okay.
Right? Because it makes everyone uncomfortable. And the purpose of an interview is not to negotiate salary. Purpose of an interview is to find out whether we are suitable for each other, whether you suit the job, and whether my company suits what you're looking for as well. It's a two-way.
Should the candidate list out their expected salary in their CV?
Legally, they don't have to, but a lot of HR people expect that. Or they ask for it.
Okay.
Right. So when I was applying for a job, I would usually put a range. I put a range of what I expect.
Smart. Okay.
Bracket negotiable.
That is the Malaysian way, lah.
Right. So it's I'm open to all possibilities.
Okay.
Right. So put a range and put bracket. Because to put blank and to say I don't want to reveal may upset certain hiring managers.
Okay.
So I just put a range and I put bracket negotiable.
And of course, the question of all, man. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Right. A very common, classical, I say old school question, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you answer this, right?
Yeah.
And why do they want to know, right? So as an interviewer, again, we shouldn't be asking this because it has nothing to do with my ability to do the job currently. Okay. However, if you're a job applicant and you get asked this question, just say something nice, something positive. Say something you think they will want to hear.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, we are sort of telling people to lie in an interview.
But not really. You can't say I'm lying because it's in the future.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? I can say I want to be a Bollywood superstar in 5 years' time. You can't say I'm lying because even I don't know whether it's possible or not.
Yeah. Highly doubtful, but I believe in you.
Is there a 1% chance?
Yes,
At least a
1%.
0.1%.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
So again, it's a ridiculous question, right?
Let me see you dance. Come on, man.
Right. I didn't list that as one of my strengths,
Exactly.
unfortunately. Right.
All right.
So okay, so one way to answer that is to say where would you like to be. And again, a good answer would be, I like to progress in your company, and hopefully in 3 to 5 years' time, I get promoted to the next level as a senior exec, maybe assistant manager, and hopefully a manager in your company in the future.
All right, perfect. So let's talk about very difficult questions now. Number one is, how do I explain employment gaps?
Right, for candidates,
For the
employment
candidates,
gaps. Okay, and again, my take is always be honest. You don't want to lie. People tend to exaggerate, but I say honesty is the best policy, because even if you lie and you get the job, people will find out. People know. And nowadays it's very hard to lie because social media everything is on social media.
Yeah, correct.
So be honest and tell them why you had that gap and what's the reason, and what did you do during that time.
And what if the candidate does not have enough experience in terms of the job requirements?
Okay, so for the job they're applying for, right?
Yeah.
So then you have to show that you have the potential to learn that job. Right. So let's say if I graduated in a degree A, but I'm applying for a job in degree B, in area B. I don't have that work experience. So, but I can say, let's think of some example. Let's say I graduated with an engineering degree, but I'm applying for a job in HR. I've got no experience. I didn't study that. But what I can say is, back in university, actually, I worked on this committee, or in this society. I was in charge of people management. I managed the team. I worked here. I did this. I did that. Right. Or I worked part-time at this restaurant, and I was made supervisor. So I had to manage the foreign workers. I had to give them training, and that's why I believe I would like to explore a job in HR.
Okay.
So show them that you have the potential, you have the interest, you have the passion in that area. Right. And when you show them, so the thing is, you must quote evidence.
I see.
So what is evidence? Evidence is past stories and past successes.
Okay.
So if you can quote something in your life or during your uni days that you've done that's related to the job that you're applying for, that employers will love that.
How do they explain being laid off? And just on just on that, should employers look at being laid off as a bad thing?
For me, you can't because nowadays it's so common, right? Right, and the reality is the next one could be you.
Yeah.
Right, or you.
Yeah. Toy. Come on, man.
Touch wood.
Touch it. Yeah.
So it's a reality of life, right? So I would go back to, I always stress, go back to the candidate's ability to do this job, whether they were laid off. I can try to find out the reason.
Yeah.
But how much would that affect my judgment?
Okay.
Right. Unless they were laid off for discipline reasons or CBT issues, right? But then again, you won't know that during an interview. They probably won't reveal that, right? Unless you do a background check and things like that.
Do you advise your employers now to do detailed background checks?
Okay, so this is interesting. I've never been a true believer of background checks. However, recently I've met employers who do background checks on candidates to see whether the academics is legit, whether they have any cases, police reports, or cases being investigated. So they do that kind of check. So some companies do that, right?
Okay.
But not all, because it takes time and money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, mostly cost.
But then I think it is important though, because I've had bad experiences where I remember I hired someone many years ago, and then later only I found out that they were suffering from a lot of mental illness.
Right.
So it's just, then you have to rehire, and then they can't take the stress. So it's a hazard, man.
Yeah. So background checks, again, if you've got 5 or 6 candidates, are you going to do background checks for all of them? So it's down to cost, right? The only ones that I know they do thorough background check would be if you're applying to a bank or financial institute. Then they will have to do a deeper background check on you for regulation purposes.
So before we go to the next section, which is employers, which is your forte, what do you think about, because of course we see a lot of entrepreneurs who say maybe failed and they go back into work life, right? How should employers view them?
Okay, so again, it's almost like a break, right? A break from career, right? So just see what skills they have. Can they do the job that I want them to do? That's it, right? And their experience, their job skills and experience and competencies can come from their corporate experience, can come from their days as a business owner, also as an entrepreneur. right? Most important is the candidate must know how to highlight their skills to meet the job requirement. So you might have taken 5 years from work to run a business, and let's say it didn't turn out successful, but you've learned something, you've developed something,
Definitely,
you have
yeah.
some skills.
Yeah.
Use those skills as an advantage,
Okay.
right?
So let's go to employers, man. But before we go there was a pretty interesting story in your bio, which is something you did with an airline company. I think I'll leave it to you whether you want to mention the name.
Right.
Where you streamlined their interviewing process to make it shorter and quicker. So can you explain that whole experience and what did you do exactly?
All right, so I've been fortunate because I got to work with this airline. It's one of the top airlines, award-winning airline in the region, right?
So can't be Mars then. Okay, there we go.
I didn't say that, right? Because Mars is also a client of mine as well.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So
Sorry.
they're both equally good.
We're just
right?
kidding, Mars.
And I love
Yeah,
all
yeah.
airlines.
Love you,
right?
love you.
I love all that, right? Especially if they're my clients. Right. So this is an award-winning airline, and what they wanted was, see, airlines when they hire pilots, they knew how to assess their technical skills and their flying hours. That's the easy part. What they were not able to assess or found it difficult was to assess the leadership skills of the pilots.
Okay.
Leadership skills, communication skills, problem solving, stress management. These are what we call soft skills and competencies, right? And that's where they got to know me. They approached me to do training for them, and I helped them. I trained them, and I helped them design a process to assess the soft skills of the pilots, right? So it was a partnership. They would do the technical assessment. I would train them to do the soft skills, and based on that, they were able to hire the best pilots.
All right, fantastic.
Right.
Now, we were talking briefly before the interview started about a technique that you refer to as BEI technique. I think you were referring to the fact that all these questions that I just asked you are completely redundant and they don't work. So
Old
what,
school.
So,
Yeah,
so
very
what's
old
the technique that you champion?
So the technique that I champion, that I talk about, is called, I didn't invent the technique. It's called behavioral event interview or behavioral interviewing.
Okay.
Right. Some people call it CBI, competency-based interviewing. They're all the same thing. The main thing is it focuses on the person's competency and behavior and capabilities to do the job. And that should be your sole focus in any interview. Right. So you dedicate your time. Let's say your interview is 1 hour or 45 minutes. You dedicate that 1 hour to zoom in on the person's ability to do the job. The more questions I ask, the more I bombard them with, the more I probe them, the more I understand about that person's capability. Then based on that, I decide whether, this guy or this lady is suitable for my company.
So paint a picture for us then. How would the questions differ from the common questions I've asked you in
right.
this technique?
Okay, so the common questions, the old school questions, it's all what will you do, how can you do it, and if this happens, what will you do? It's all future based on the future, which means it's hypothetical. Like you ask me, where do I see myself in 5 years? I can answer anything, right? There's no right or wrong answer. It's hypothetical. Okay. Behavioral event interview focuses on one thing, the past.
I see.
Because studies have shown past behavior is the best prediction for future behavior. So if I want to find out, Vino, what kind of manager, let's say I'm hiring you as a manager, I want to hire you.
Don't do it.
Right? Now, let's say I'm evaluating you. If I want to see the kind of manager you are, or you will be if you join my company, I want to see how you manage your people in your previous company. Because humans are creatures of habit.
People don't change?
People don't change that much, or people stick to the formula they know. So if what leadership style worked for you back then, very likely you will use the same style when you join my company. So if I want a preview, I say a preview of how you work in my company, I find out how you worked in the previous company. So that's what behavioral is.
But is that a fair assessment of a person? Because when you work in different companies, you are placed in different environments, different people.
Yeah.
So the culture of each company can differ as well.
Yep, it is. So I want to see how you handle those situations. And I'm going to ask you a few situations, ask for a few scenarios and few situations and a few multiple examples. And then I want to see the consistency in that. So I'm not going to ask you just one question or one case. I'm going to ask you for about 4 or 5 examples. And I want to see how you handle and behave and how you act in those 5 scenarios. And based on that, then I make my judgment. Okay, this is the kind of person I want.
But in this case, that means does the BEI technique do away with, say, reference calls and all the reference checks and all that?
I don't place a lot of focus on reference checks because reference checks many times, my reference checks are all my buddies and bosses who like me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put a boss who doesn't like me as a reference check, right?
Exactly.
Right, and if I don't have any bosses who like me, I'm going to put my best friend who's got a nice sounding title in the company.
Yeah.
So reference checks, it's a 50-50 thing. I like to rely on my own interviewing technique.
Okay.
So an example of a behavioral question would be this. Can you give me an example how you solved a problem in your previous company?
I see. Okay.
Right. And the keyword is what? Solved. ED. Past tense. How you did it, what did you do, and what was the outcome? Then from there, I can see your way of working, your way of thinking, your thinking process, and how you work with different people to achieve the outcome.
I see.
Right. And I ask, so that's one. So I keep asking you for examples like this in your past job.
So what are the mistakes you've seen employers commonly do before they get your training?
Number one, they will ask a lot of the old school questions. So when you ask old school questions, possible two outcomes. Number one is you tend to stereotype, or you may have personal bias, unconscious bias, right? When you make a decision. Or number two, after interviewing them, you still don't know whether they're suitable for the job or not.
Okay.
Because the questions you ask don't give you the data you want. So you need to ask targeted questions, behavioral questions, to give you the data you want to make a decision. Old school questions, like what are your strengths, why should we hire you, those kind of questions, does not give you information to make that decision.
Is the answer to whether a candidate is the right candidate in the CV or in the person right here sitting in front of you?
A bit of both, but I would say the interview, the person in front of you, whether it's face-to-face or Zoom or Teams, that's fine. But it's the interview that counts.
Okay.
Usually the CV is to get you the job interview.
It's like a ticket into the door.
It's a ticket in the door.
Yeah,
Very few people will hire just based on the CV. Right? It's just to get into the door, get the interview. Then during the interview, you have to impress your interviewer.
Okay. Now, in terms of employing the BEI technique, what is the benefit to an organization if they successfully integrate it?
Okay, so I trained one banker recently, and again, these are experienced managers. They've been doing hundreds of interviews. They attended my training, which was a 2-day training. After the training, in fact, not even after the training, after day one, just so happened on day one, after the workshop, they had some interviews lined up. So I said, okay, do you have some tips? Are you ready to do this interview, to use this new technique? And they say, yes, ET, I'll try. So they tried it on the candidate. So next day, day 2 of the workshop, we're only halfway through our workshop. I asked them, how did your interview go? And this is what they said. They said, ET, using your BEI technique, it's so much clearer, so straightforward. We go straight to the data we want, and it's so clear. It's so clear, so focused, and we don't waste time asking old school questions.
One of the things that I've experienced hiring people is that you see a change in culture with every generation, right? From my generation before and now. What are some of the changes in the way that jobs, young fresh graduates, work,
right,
that your employers have told you?
Right. In terms of the
work ethic,
different generation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the common perception is that, the older manager will say, oh yeah, younger generation today. Nowadays, the young people like this. The Gen Y, the Gen Zs, and what else? Alphas.
Alpha.
Right? Some people call them the strawberry generations, right? I tend to not look at that. Again, I want to look at the individual and the competency of the individual.
I see.
Whether you're 20 years old or 50 years old or 70 years old, I want to see whether you have the skills to do the job. Right? Now, are the younger generation different from us? Of course. The way they do things, the way they talk, the way they learn things is very different from us. But again, I'm assessing your ability to do what I want. That's it. That's it.
So that means your generational traits don't really matter. It's just whether you can do the job. That's about it.
Yes, correct. Because a 50-year-old candidate doesn't mean they are better than a 25-year-old candidate. Right? 25, just because you're young doesn't make you inferior to an older candidate, right? You have different skills, you have different abilities.
So in that case, say if I'm an interviewer now, I'm interviewing you, what are the traits that are there any fixed traits or a fixed list of traits that I should look out for to find a successful candidate to suit my job?
All right. So what I do is I train managers to first identify your competencies that you want. So let's say I'm hiring this job. I want a finance manager. So as an interviewer, list out 5 competencies that you're looking for in this finance manager. And it could be different, right? A finance manager for a GLC can be different from a finance manager from an SME.
Yeah, correct.
So you are the hiring manager. You list out the 5 qualities you want, and you go to the interview to ask questions to test these 5 qualities. And if they have evidence to show that they have these 5 qualities, I will hire them. That's it, regardless of how they look and how old they are. The generation thing is it's very interesting, because, and I heard this on another podcast, and I remember it till today. And this is the message I want to send to everyone. Okay, I'm going to look at the camera and say this. every generation thinks they are the best generation. Right? What we are talking, the things that we say about the younger generation today, I bet our parents were saying the same thing about us.
Yeah.
And their parents were saying the same thing about them.
It's like how our movies are the best, our music is the best.
Best, right?
They don't do it like how we back in my day.
Back in my day, you all young people. That's what my dad used to tell me, right?
So sometimes when I hear myself saying that, I say, "Oh my God, shut up, man! You're like your father now."
And you know what? The younger generation today, when they get to our age, guess what's going to happen?
They're gonna say the same
They're
thing.
going to say the same thing
Yeah.
because every generation thinks they are the best,
Okay.
right? So I tend to put that aside and just look at the candidate and the individual.
Okay. So in terms of this BEI technique then, does it do away with, multiple phases in an interview where interviews, for example, if I'm not mistaken, I think companies like Shell do it, where it's like, multiple levels, hours-long interviews.
Right.
Where does that stand against the BEI technique?
Okay, so the other thing that I do besides BI is what we call an assessment center, right? So where you assess talent through a variety of tools. So the interview is one. Now, larger companies like Shell, multinationals, GLCs, they will use a variety of tools. For example, they may start with profiling, psychometric profiling, right? And then after that, they will shortlist and do the interview. After that, they might invite you back to do some role plays or case study. So this whole thing is called an assessment center, where you use three or different types of assessment tools. So the logic is this: the more data you get about the candidate, the better your decision will be, right? You make a better informed decision. Unfortunately, the disadvantage is it's not disadvantage. The thing is, it takes a lot of time and money, not just time of the candidate, but time of the assessors as well. So 1 hour, instead of a 1 hour interview, you might be spending 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's a long process. Yeah.
Right? So, but companies do that if they can afford it, and also if they're hiring highly critical positions.
Give us some stories, man. Like, what is the best turnaround story that you have done in your career? You've coached all over the world, so many companies and all the GLC and everything. Which company did you go in were just doing all the wrong things and then you turned them around?
Oh, okay.
Please brag. Go ahead.
Okay. I share with you one very good case study about this is a local bank.
Okay.
And they wanted to hire management trainee, young graduates,
Okay.
to become graduate management bankers, right? So what we do is we work with them. So my company went in with my team to help them design the process to choose the best of the best, right? So they advertised the job. They had 2,000 applicants.
Wow.
2,000 applicants.
Sounds like Maybank, I think. Is that
Right. It's not even a big bank. Right? It's a small local bank,
Okay.
but very progressive and very, I would say it's a young bank, right?
Okay.
So 2,000 applicants, they shortlisted them to about 40 through profiling and through assessment. And then from the 40, they brought them in for 2 days. So what they did is they booked the hotel for 2 days, invited all the 40 candidates to come, gave them accommodation, gave them food,
Okay.
right? And then they brought in 10 managers from the bank to come in as assessors for the 2 days. So remember, imagine the time and cost and the commitment involved.
Yeah, it's huge.
So 40 people came, 10 managers, plus my team of consulting. They hired us to come in to facilitate the process. So over the 2 days, they put these 40 people through a variety of exercises, case studies, presentation skills, interviews, right? Over the 2 days. And then from there, they shortlisted the best 15. And I was there during the 2 days. I can tell you, the 40 people who came out, wow, were the cream of the crop, right? They were the best of the best, right? If you talk about 4.0, it's nothing. Everyone was a 4.0.
Okay.
Right? Some of them were, they won awards. Some of them were representing the state, representing the country, going for international things. And these are all fresh graduates, fresh grads.
My goodness.
Impressive.
I would have done really badly in
I
that.
tell you, the way they speak, the way, the confidence they had, I was so impressed. All right? I thought I was good, right? Right? In a humble way.
We know you do.
Right, right. I
Okay.
thought I was good.
Yeah.
And I'm a straight A student myself, right?
Okay.
I'm a straight A
Here we
student,
go again.
right? Just slide it in right on the
Just slide
slide.
that in. Enough, man. Oh
Right.
my God.
But when I looked at these 40 people, I thought, wow, they were, I felt they were even better than me.
Yeah.
So much better than me, right? But still, you must have a process to choose the best 15 among the 40. So you need a process. And they chose the 15, and this 15 became their management trainee, and they get onto a 2-year fast-track management program.
So do you recommend such a committed approach? I mean, I guess in this case it'd be different because the number they were looking for was a big number. You can't do that for just one person, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so are you for interview process that are so committed and so focused and so highly
Yes.
scrutinized?
You know why? Because you get the best of the best. Remember, they're going to put these 15 people over a 2-year fast-track program. They're going to pay them slightly above market salary. They're going to invest time to train and develop them.
Then yeah,
And then they're going to
sense.
fast-track them to management position in 2 to 3 years' time. So if you're going to invest the 2 years on this group of 15, you want to make sure you get them right. Get the right people.
In that example you just shared, they got 2,000 applicants? 2,000, and then
applied online.
based on the CV, they basically filtered out most of it until it became 40.
Yes.
So I think a lot of companies face this. I mean, not 2,000, but they do get hundreds of CVs, right?
Right.
How do they filter those CVs? What criteria should they use?
Yeah, so usually the filtering is done by the HR person, right? So HR person will have a set of criteria. They will look at the easy one is the basic qualifications and credentials.
Okay.
So that would be the first filtering, right? You have to meet the minimum requirement, right? If it's a finance job, if it's an engineering job, if the job requires banking experience, they will use that to filter. That's the first filter, right? And then from there, they will look at your job experience, right? And then the interview.
Okay, so based on those things, then you can filter them out.
So there's no easy formula. The only thing you can do as a job applicant is to look at the job advertisement and try to tune your CV to meet the job requirements in the advertisement, right? Put it up front in your CV, right? Don't put it at the end, right? Some people like to put their job experience and achievements at the end of the CV. No, put it up front. That's the first thing people see, right? Put it up front there.
Okay. Now, in terms of these companies that you have worked with, right? Is changing your interviewing process, just converting just one thing, your BI method, right? Does it, I mean, have you seen the improvement in the workforce, the quality, the output in terms of their work and all that?
Yes, definitely, because it improves the quality of the hire, right? And if you ask any business owner, any employer, they will always say, staff is their biggest headache, especially if you hire the wrong person to come in the company and they're stuck there, they're not performing, and you're still paying them a salary every month. It costs the company a lot.
I think one thing that costs companies a lot is, in my experience, is also high, what's the term? Forgetting the term. Turnovers.
High turnovers.
Right?
Yeah.
So can you identify that from a CV?
It's a bit hard. High turnover and retention depends what happens after the interview, right? I always believe every candidate who comes for an interview, they want to stay with the company. Nobody goes for an interview thinking that, okay, I'm going to get this job and I'm going to only stay for 2 months and I'm going to go. Nobody thinks that. Everybody wants to join the company and stay there as long as they can. That is their intention, right? So I tend to believe that. Now, what happens is after they get the job, they get into the company, then they look at the culture, the leadership style, the work environment, and that makes them stay or leave. It's not what happens during the interview. It's what happens after that.
How do companies, HRs, how do companies attract the best talent? What should they do? Because if you look at certain, for example, recently, I think a few months ago, or was it last year, when Tesla said they were going to open, you saw the lines like extending to the line going on. Of course, there was a brand. But what should they do, these smaller size companies do to attract the best?
Yeah, so if you're Tesla can do it because that's Tesla.
So their brand, yeah.
Right? Even if it was an unpaid, free, no salary job, I think people will still apply.
Yeah.
Because it's Tesla, right? It's Apple, it's Google. People will apply for them, right? But 93% of companies in Malaysia are SMEs. SMEs that are maybe not known brands, people don't know about them, don't know what they do. So the only way to attract is to tell them and to offer them something different. Tell them what you can offer them as a company. And younger people today, not just younger people, I think even older people as well, what they want to see is opportunities in the company to grow and to learn. And a positive working environment, positive leadership.
Now, I want to go back for a bit because I missed out the question and I think it's very crucial because I have a very different opinion about it. But if you are a job seeker, if you are a fresh graduate, right? Fresh graduates tend to do their internships, which plays a big role in their CV. I notice a lot of fresh graduates tend to choose big name companies,
right,
and go there for internships. And my advice to them, always whenever people, I say, don't do that,
right,
because you don't learn anything in a big company. It's a machine. You'll be one department, maybe getting the coffee, but go for the small guys, right? The small guys who are short in staff and they need all the hands on deck, right?
Yeah.
Do employers place a premium on the brand that you go to do your internship, or is it the skills?
It's more on the skills and what you do during the internship. So you can work for a big or small company, right? But most likely they will ask you, what did you do and what did you achieve? Again, the focus is on the past. Tell me what you did and what you have done during those 3 months or 6 months, right?
Okay.
Whether it's company A or company B, I want to see what you did and how you did it. That's the key.
Okay, so I mean, just before, I mean, let's bring it down to this. This is your camera here, buddy. ET, this is your camera. I want you to tell people why should they call you to their company to train them to interview better.
Right. So I would say this: if you are involved in any interviews or talent assessment, you need to learn the behavioral event interview technique or the behavioral interview technique, right? Because that's the only way you can assess someone to hire someone with the right attitude and the right competencies, right? And that's what you want. You want to hire someone who can join you and work for you and deliver.
All right. Thank you so much, ET, for coming on the podcast. I truly appreciate it. I had a lot of fun talking to you, man. And hopefully we can do some projects later.
Great.
We'll talk after this. So, guys, that was ET Khor. We'll be sharing all the links in the description. So please contact him if you guys want to improve the way you interview and hire the best talent to better impact your company's performance. I think that's very important, very crucial. And to all of you all who are watching who are job seekers, I hope this discussion has helped you. Again, we'll be sharing his link, so perhaps you want to get in touch with him and maybe ask some questions, more questions if you have to. So thank you again, ET.
Thanks a lot.
And you always have a seat here, man. Do come back whenever you want, and we can have chats on interviewing and all that kind of stuff.
Pleasure.
Hopefully this time you're more humble. But but guys, that was it, and really fun. So guys, have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon. We have many great interviews coming up. Tomorrow is the second episode of the Dato Shaker, Vinod Shaker episode, so stay tuned for that. It's coming out at 10 a.m. Today we have a conversation that is just premiered with Dr. Azri Rahman on the late Malcolm X. We have many great leaders coming on the podcast soon, so stay tuned. We'll see you soon. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye.